Welcome to Community Living with your girl Malebo. If you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, and if you're stopping back by and continuously supporting the channel, you know the jingle by now, so sing along with me. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So thank you to each and everyone that's been liking, commenting, and sharing. You know the deal. So we are on our way to 25,000 subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, this is a perfect opportunity for you to subscribe. So for today's episode, we have a guest by the name of Kutlwano Molefe, also known as Unlimited K, also known as the People's Dancer. So he is someone who is a teacher, a dancer / choreographer, who has basically built an international brand related to Amapiano dance and the Amapiano culture. So he teaches people more about South African cultures through Amapiano, basically, or centered around Amapiano, and he has various workshops within China and other countries as well. So he's traveled to over 10 countries teaching different people. We'll get to find out more about who he is, why he ended up, coming to China in a sense, and what led to him building this brand and how it has been going in the past 5 years or so. So do tune in and watch all the way till the end. So I'm going to start off in prayer. As you know, we always start off in prayer. So let's close our eyes and bow our head and revere God. Papa, re tla go wena ka se sebaka, re lebogela the guests that came, Papa, re lebogela people that are joining, re lebogela the topic itself, Messiah, regarding building a brand, especially an internationally recognized brand, Papa, that allows one to actually explore their passions and visit other countries, oh Lord. Papa, we ask that you enlighten the person who needs this information to really know that it does take, a bit of investment. It does take a bit of, talent, but also just the willingness to really hone your craft in order to do what you need to do. Ask you to bless the guest, Messiah, for availing himself in order to be able to be used as a vessel to just share what others can be able to do with their lives, with how they can hone their craft and everything else that they need to do. Papa, ra leboga ka everyone that is here, and may you bless them and may you be with them in each and everything that they are doing. We thank you, O Lord, in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Let's head out to the other side to speak to Kay, who will be sharing with us the various things that he's been up to in China and how he's been building a globally recognized brand. All right, so I'm gonna give you two things. So you're going to choose between the two. So it's not about whether or not you like these things. People will decide what they're related to, right? So the first one is Vietnam or Tanzania.
Vietnam or Tanzania? Vietnam.
Vietnam, okay? Piano or reggae?
It's kind of, for me, I just put it in the same
category. Yeah,
same
but
category.
okay, which one would you pick between the two? Because they're in the same category, but they're not the same.
Wow. Hot take. Reker.
Reker. Okay. Shenzhen or Shanghai?
Shanghai.
Okay. Teaching or logistics?
Teaching.
Okay. TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So as mentioned, people will decide what it's related to, whether you like it or don't like it, or how it relates to your life. Question, please introduce yourself. Can you tell us a bit about who you are and so forth? So who's Kay?
So who's Kay? Kay is Kutlwano Molefe, first of all. Born and bred in Taung, in the Northwest Province, South Africa, obviously. Grew up there, went to school in the Northern Cape, primary school and high school. Moved on to university at University of Johannesburg. In Johannesburg, obviously, studied a BCom Logistics Management degree. Big on music, big on dancing. From a very young age, I think, started dancing in 2008. Carried on in university, met a couple of people who were like-minded and who like to share the kind of same interests. So that kind of really grew my love for dancing, especially street dance. And then, yeah, Kutlwano is just as people know him. He's just a level of life, dancer, choreographer, very like a person who has a very big heart. I like giving back. I'm big in philanthropy. Big on family, big on love, very spiritual, very Christian, love God. So I guess that's just me. Very outspoken as well. Very, very
Okay.
outspoken. And yeah, that's who K or Kutlwano is.
How long have you been in China for?
For 5 years, actually. Since 2019. I guess.
Okay.
2019.
And what do you like the most about China? So, in the past 5 years, what is the one thing you'd say that you really appreciate or you really like about China?
I would say the level of convenience in this place, just
Mm-hmm.
e-commerce, like is just like on another level here. Buying
Yeah.
stuff on e-commerce is like buying stuff online, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
the level of like the way that they operate their e-commerce is just it's mind blowing. Number one, so it
Mm-hmm.
also it kind of like filters down into like a normal person's life and
Yeah.
how easy and convenient life can be for you.
Yeah. The
Uh,
efficiency trickles down
efficient
to, yeah, to
to
the
like the
personal
normal.
level. Okay.
Exactly. And I guess the safety as
Mm-hmm.
well is a big one. Traveling convenience as well. There's a
Mm-hmm.
subway everywhere. There's like shared bikes and stuff like that. So those
Is it the
three.
case even in smaller cities? I've only been in Shanghai, so I really haven't been exposed
I
to the
mean,
other cities in terms of subway lines and all those things. Is
yeah, you
it
see, like,
as
yeah, in smaller cities,
dedicated?
there's no subway as big as like Shanghai, right? So I
Okay.
guess there, but also like there, I guess like the standard of living is quite cheaper, so you can take cabs, and then there
Okay, I
are
get.
the
Right.
shared bikes here and there. So
Mm-hmm.
in most cities, even in small cities, so that kind of helps with like moving around. And there's buses as well. If you figure out the bus system, it's quick, it's cheap, it's convenient, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. What was your first impression when you came to China? So, what are the first couple of things that you noticed?
They don't season their food.
They don't season their
They
food.
don't season it. I was like, what are we eating here? So obviously the first thing was like the food and I guess the people as well. The people how they receive me. You live in a country like South Africa and you're comfortable because you're black, and no
Mm-hmm,
one really
mm-hmm.
looks at you like, oh, he's black. And then
Yeah.
when you get here, people are like they look at you like he's black. So that was kind of like a culture shock. Like I didn't think I
Yeah.
would experience it to that level. So that kind of thing. So I guess the people being kind of like shocked or like surprised is like, okay, there's a person that like this exists, and obviously the food kind of being different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously the culture. The culture is a big thing. The culture is a
Mm-hmm.
really big is a big thing. So I think yeah, those things are the main things that kind of.
Okay, what were some of your initial frustrations or culture shocks when you got here? I think you've mentioned one already, but are there any other ones that you remember? Because I know on my end, I used to be frustrated by the first couple of deliveries that I received were quite frustrated because I can't speak any Mandarin.
Mm.
So people are calling me, I'm receiving calls, and I'm just like, all I get on the other side, wait, wait. I'm like, what is wait? Even I didn't even know what wait was.
Yeah.
So those were a couple of things that I was like, this is so frustrating. If I was in
Mhm.
my country, I'd know what to do.
Yeah.
But because I'm in a new country, it's totally different way of doing things. The
Of
language
course.
as well was a huge barrier in terms of communication. So what were some of your initial frustrations or culture shocks that I guess left you feeling a bit uncomfortable for the first couple of weeks, months, or even the year?
I mean, I guess yeah, the language thing is a very big
Mm-hmm.
thing as because the language you need it to kind of communicate and move through life with the people of
Mm-hmm.
the place, the people of the country. So I didn't know the language. So, but at least Google Translate came in clutch. It kind of helped
Yeah.
me here and there for people, for me to understand. And as time went by, I just picked up language here and there from my students, from my colleagues at work, and just from like basic random people outside. And I could just like pick up
Mm-hmm.
things here and there. And that kind of made it easier, but also like the culture thing, yeah. People do things differently here. They think differently, which is like really something that's really very important to sort
Mm-hmm.
of understand, take in, and accept that they are
Mm-hmm.
different from the Westerners or Africans or like people from outside of China. So that was like something that I had to adjust to, and sometimes that frustrated me because there's something that you think is really normal and really straightforward to think like, yo, this is like this. They don't really think the same here, so I've had to accept a lot.
Now we're going to move a bit into what you do apart from teaching and apart from what you're here for in China, right? So like your brand. So obviously it has now become like an internationally recognized brand where you're traveling abroad and actually traveling. Yeah, let's not call it abroad because you're already abroad because you're not in your home country.
Yeah.
But you're traveling, to different places, and you're basically showing people how to appreciate the Amapiano culture, right? So how did you come to build your own personal brand? I think that would be the first question. And how can one maybe try to build an internationally recognized brand? Was it something intentional, or it's just something that just, as time went by, you're just like, okay, it seems natural to just gravitate towards maybe taking this globally, or how did it come about basically?
This also stems from my passion, which is dancing.
Yeah.
And I've been dancing since 2008, and it's just been one of my dreams to sort of teach people dance in a different country, and especially when I came to China, and then I saw how the dance space it's quite big, it's quite prominent, it's such a buzzing industry, and there's many dance studios, which is something very not like South Africa, you'll have dance studios here and there, and dance or art spaces where kids can learn or adults can learn, but not as big as here. Here it was 10-fold.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this is kind of new and very refreshing, to see and be like, maybe I can learn from this. And I was like, okay, let me just start by trying to teach people my culture through dance, which is anything that I can do. Obviously I can try the language, but the dance is something that comes second to none to me.
Yeah, so it's natural for you.
It's natural. So started there in Zhongshan. I live in a very small city. Started doing free workshops, even dance workshops were full. Workshops were really less. Dance classes here and there, but not really that big,
So when did this all start? Was it because of China, as you mentioned that you saw it happening here? Is it something that you took from SA to China, or China was the breeding ground, if you might call it that?
I would say China is the breeding ground, because obviously when I worked back home, I didn't really have time to
do any of that.
To do it, and I didn't have the time, and also there was no spaces and opportunities to do such that I'm doing right now, So obviously because of the lack of those three things, I didn't do it. But obviously coming here and seeing and having time, seeing the space and seeing the opportunity, then obviously those things catapulted me into
aligned.
So that's late 2020. That's when everything started. Started doing the classes in my old city. Started doing some small little workshops. 2021 Shanghai with a friend of mine here, and then I guess 2021. That's when I jumped into doing my own thing. Because I was I have this vision of wow, how I see this Amapiano thing growing, especially here in China, then how I want to contribute towards it, it blowing up and people knowing about it through dance, not through many things, just through dance. And then that's how I think I started slowly but surely, just putting the bricks on bricks on bricks and doing this city and that city and that city and that city. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So what made you say, I see myself living here for some time when it comes to China? So I remember your April Fool joke where you were like, okay, I'm still going to be around China. So what made you back in 2019 when you're here, you're like, okay, I see myself living here for some time. What was that thing for you? That got you to 5 years and maybe beyond 5 years. I don't know how long you plan on being in China for, but what was that thing that made you feel like, okay, maybe there's something here for me,
I guess, there's just a couple of reasons, Like I said, I think I managed the reasons before, the safety, the convenience, the efficiency of how things work here, and how we can actually live a really comfortable life, especially as South African teachers, won't even lie and say it's not because I mean, we really get paid really well. I'm not gonna lie. We get paid really well.
Some people.
Yeah. Okay, some people, yes. So I'm gonna speak personally, but like, you know,
Yes, but yeah, I get
yeah,
what you mean. The pay is nice
considering the job market in South Africa, I think
in South
relatively
Africa. Yeah,
good
when we
comparison.
compare apples and apples, definitely.
You understand?
Hmm.
So I'm just like that number one, having that kind of sort of like job security and that kind of like level of income that you can actually do something for
Yeah,
yourself,
so
do something for your
significant. Yeah.
and you can see some little financial growth, basically,
Mm-hmm.
Um, so obviously that reason and the fact that I meet a lot of people that I would have never met if I was not here. And those people have like really played an important part in entire brand building of K the People's Dancer.
Okay.
It's a growth thing. Like I don't think I would have grown
Mm-hmm.
um, as much as I would have if I was still in South Africa. So that's one of the things that
Okay.
were like I can't be there. I
I
have to be here.
appreciate this. Yeah,
Yeah, this is
I
why
appreciate
I
growth.
continue living here because there's so much that can happen and so much that is
Yeah,
happening. People that I have
definitely.
to meet. You understand? Mm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay, I
definitely.
get what you mean. So that moves us to the next point, which says, what are some of the things that shaped and changed how you see yourself since you came to China? So I think you've already sort of mentioned some of the
Mm.
things, but what are some of the things that you can say? Okay, since I've moved here, I've seen myself, like my mindset maybe being changed in a particular way,
Yeah.
and now I think differently or I see things differently due to being here.
Mm. Mm.
So what are some of those things that attributed to that mind shift, if there is any?
Like, meeting people from different walks of life, especially different
Yeah.
countries, different continents, and getting to understand that in our differences, there's also a sense of speciality. Like we are very special as Africans,
Mm-hmm.
and living in Africa, you won't realize it up until you go outside. You know,
Yes.
so those things are like, guys, we're actually really special. We actually do this. We think this is very normal, but when you go out, you're like, this is
And
like
then you realize it's
it
not.
blows people's mind. So having to kind of realize those little things that
Yeah.
are really big things in the big world and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of be like, dude, this is actually something that's really, really special, you know? So coming to like those kind of realizations through meeting other people, just something that's really normal to us, for other people, it's not really normal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of shifted my mindset in thinking of myself as a black person and
Lesser
as,
than.
you
Yeah, and
understand?
I think is it the lesser than thing as well? Because I feel like, as Africans, sometimes we used to look down on ourselves while we're in
Yeah,
Africa, up until
yeah,
we go globally and you realize like I might
yeah,
even have had a better life than some of the people that I'm meeting. And it's not a matter
exactly.
of like you're comparing yourself and making
Mm,
yourself feel better or anything, but you're just like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was because I thought there was greater and grander things out there, but I was
mm-hmm,
okay-ish. And there's beautiful things out there, but also I appreciate my culture, I appreciate my people
mm.
and my country as well. So
Yeah,
is that
exactly,
are
exactly.
those
Like,
sentiments?
yeah,
Okay.
coming to like appreciate the
Mm-hmm.
small things that we thought were like coming to appreciate the big things that we thought were that were small. You understand?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, for
Mhm.
instance, like a stupid example, like drinking water, tap drinking water.
Yes.
We have
What you
one of the
mean?
cleanest tap drinking waters in Africa from South Africa. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And in some countries
Mm-hmm.
they don't have that. And you like,
Hmm.
but like, and then they make then you get here, you feel like you're African. You don't.
You
But like,
don't, yeah.
it's huge. So yeah, coming to learn about different places, learn about this place, learn about different places like outside different countries from in Africa, in Europe, and understanding
Mm-hmm.
like, oh man, actually. Yeah, we're there as well. We're not just as low,
Yeah.
bottom of the pile type of people, but yeah. So it's been
Mm-hmm.
also like a journey of learning because I'm always
Mm-hmm.
learning, asking questions, watching, observing, learning, asking, a
Mm-hmm.
continuous thing that I do.
Okay. So with the international exposure that you've had in terms of your friend groups and the people that you get to meet here, so how many countries have you traveled to since coming to China? And maybe even before, you can just like take us through that. Were you like an avid traveler, or it's something that was speared by the fact that you're here, you know?
Yeah, before I came to China, funny, but really, I think it's maybe such a blessing. I had never been
Mm-hmm.
on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
I had never been on a plane before I came to China. So I only got on my
Mm-hmm.
first plane in 2019 January. It was my
When you
first time,
came here.
my first time on a
Yes.
plane. And so you can understand I'd never traveled anywhere outside of Southern Africa, because all the only countries that
Mm-hmm.
I've been were the only country that I've been to was Botswana. That was it. And I guess pre-COVID, I plans to like start traveling more in my second year in China, because my first year I was just
Mm-hmm.
trying to feel everything out, you know, just trying to get a feel of the place and see what what can you do with your time here, you know. The first country I did was Russia, and
Mm-hmm.
then after Russia I went to Japan. After Japan I went to Indonesia. And then after Indonesia,
Yeah.
I went to UAE, Dubai. I
Mm-hmm.
went to Singapore. Um, and then I did East Africa, which is Kenya, Tanzania,
Mm-hmm.
Zanzibar, and Rwanda. So Zanzibar and
Mm-hmm.
Tanzania is like two different countries. That's why
Is it?
I learned something. Yeah. Tanzania has its
What?
own president. Zanzibar has its own president. It's a different country. They have their own two flags.
That's a first for me. Yeah, I got to learn something today because
Yeah.
for me, Tanzania, Zanzibar, same thing. But yeah,
Totally different. So yeah,
anyways.
that's the places I've been so far. That's the countries
Hmm.
I've been so far. So yeah, but
I
it's
don't know
been
if you
really
included Vietnam. I didn't hear Vietnam because you
Vietnam. Hey,
recently. That's why I
Vietnam.
said you have so many countries under your belt now.
Vietnam. And
You're probably
Vietnam.
gonna forget some of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how often do you go home with all this traveling? Do you get like an opportunity to go home? Because
Uh,
with me, what I realized, because I've only been here for less than a year, you
mm,
have to weigh home or another country. So it's always like a gamble because home is
mm.
it's so expensive to go home these days. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to be like another Asian country or
Yeah.
Joburg and Cape Town and Durban and home, type of
Yeah.
thing. So how's it been for you?
So yeah, that's the other thing. Like the distance from here to South Africa is
Yeah.
long. It's really not like it's like a, you can travel like within a day you're at home. It's like a whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and obviously, like, we have to wait for specific times to go home, because
Specific
that's when you get
holidays. Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
when you get like a really long holiday to go home. It has to make sense financially as well. Like you can't be traveling home for a 3-day holiday. You'll be gonna be
Yeah.
traveling 2 days out of the 3-day holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, like, I could travel twice a year to back home, but at this point in time, like, I use my time to kind of do this
Mm-hmm.
passion, to push this passion and go to as many countries as I can while I'm
Mm-hmm.
still here, while I still have the opportunity, and I still
Yeah,
at
to
at
go
this
there.
peak.
Yeah. Because
So,
home will always be home and you'll
yeah,
always have access to it
yeah,
as
but
well.
I did go home last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I went home in July for 2 weeks, which was like really great. I hadn't been home in three
Okay.
years, so that was really great. This year, I'll have to see. I'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm only going there next year, Jen. Definitely no plans
Yeah.
of going home this year. So, what are some of the ideas and thoughts behind you being here by your family members? So, what do they think? What did they think when you're getting on the plane for the first time and they're like, okay, you're going to this foreign land? What were their thoughts about you coming
Nah,
here and even being here for 5 years? So, how has their
my parents
thoughts
were
and ideas
very
been?
supportive. They were
Okay.
very supportive from like the beginning, and they're still supportive now. They're like, "Yo, you're doing what you want, what you love over there. You're teaching this dance thing. We see you. Do it for
Mm-hmm.
however long you want to, however long you want, however you feel like you want to stay out there. Just stay happy, keep on saving money, and visit us when you can, but we're fine. My parents are still quite relatively young. My dad is in his 60s. My mom is in her 50s. My little brother's 26 this year. He's studying at UJ.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my family is relatively there. They're very supportive. They understand that I'm here. I live abroad, and that's just it. But we keep in contact, and yeah, that's basically it.
So, if you were to decide to make this decision again, like maybe we take you back to 2019, knowing what you now know about China, the life that you've lived here, would you still opt to come here or maybe stay back home?
For sure. I would still opt to come here. I would definitely opt to
Okay.
come here.
All right. And what are 5 things you love about teaching in China, basically, or teaching in general?
In general.
And also building a brand in China. Teaching, we can like combine it. 5 things that you like about teaching and building a brand in China, a personal brand.
I mean, number one, I love kids, so like my love for kids and my love for teaching kind of is combined by teaching English at kindergarten. I love shaping young minds, I love also like just like imparting a certain bit of knowledge to people and just giving a part of me to people, which is like, the lighter part, so those are like kind of my favorite teaching because, with the teaching English is I don't only teach kids how to speak English or write whatever. It's also like you're shaping young minds how to act,
Definitely.
to
How to
think,
act,
globally,
mannerisms. Yes.
manners, stuff like so. I like teaching young kids those type of things. And then in terms of like the dancing part, I guess I just like to share my culture, and share with new people a new sound, a new culture about a new country, and just like educate and impart some light, fun-filled, love-filled things about Africa. Understand? Because people just think Africa is just like a dump, but like when they get to it, like, Africa is really great. It's really cool. It has things such as Amapiano, it's Afro beats, Burna Boy, Casper, you know what I mean? So many beautiful things about Africa that I can just tell people about, like, yo, because I have a lot of friends that are like, yo, they say only one thing. They're like, oh, we hear South Africa is very unsafe. I'm like, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
unsafe, it would be dead by now, right? But so, I mean, don't believe everything you read. I mean, just go there.
Yes.
I'll tell you
Just
where
go
to
there and
go.
experience it for yourself.
Experience for yourself.
Definitely.
Also doing that, acting as a quote unquote ambassador for South Africa.
Yeah,
Unofficial
definitely.
ambassador for South Africa is what I really enjoy. I can just tell people like, yo, that thing that you read, that's not the thing. I come from
That's
there.
not the thing. Yeah.
This is the way the
Yeah,
thing
there's a
you
lot
can.
of misinformation these days on the internet. And as you said, the best way to learn about any country really is just to go there. A lot of people will theorize about safety and all
Exactly.
the other things. We are not saying we don't have problems. We're just
Yeah.
saying in terms of like, the likelihood that you'll enjoy yourself is probably a higher chance that you'll enjoy yourself than not. Have you ever experienced any ill treatment since you got here? So has there ever been like, times where you're like, okay, the reason why maybe any particular person that you have met or even at one of the schools that you have taught, or the classes that you've held where you're like, okay, the only reason this person is treating me this way is because of my race, or the countries that you've traveled as well? Maybe just share your experiences around that.
I mean, I guess for China, it was like during that COVID time,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we kind of received like some horrible treatment actually when I was still living in Guangdong province, right? So yeah, that was like only I think the most memorable mistreatment, ill treatment that I can remember from, these people per se, and, so they'll never forget because it's quite traumatizing, because
Yeah.
just being judged and treated just based on your skin color was just like, it's crazy. It was really crazy time. So something that was like left a really bad taste in my mouth, but I also understood
Yes.
a lot of misinformation. Like
Yes,
people
yes, yes, yes.
here believe what they read on the internet, and that's a very dangerous thing. If you believe everything that you
Very.
read on the internet, it's very
Because
dangerous.
yeah, and also without going to a lot of politics, they have one set of the internet and then there's another set of the internet where it's
Yes.
like, if only you could see what's on this side, but then I can't really get you to that point. But
Mm.
yeah, I guess as a person, does this speak to you being a bigger person, even though you shouldn't be? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you're sort of forced to be the bigger person every single time because
Mm.
you have a better view of the situation than like the
Yeah,
person who's mistreating you in some sense. So would you say that you're
yeah.
expected to be like that in some sense?
I mean, the thing is, most of these people, like, especially during that time, you could see like these people were hired to do things. Like someone told me, you have to do this, and then they had to do it. You understand? Like they were not hired to understand. They're not hired to
Yes.
reason. They were hired to do.
Okay.
So sometimes you're like, yo, bro, I don't understand why you're doing this because this and this and this and this, and they be like, yeah, I was just told to do this, so I can't really. So they're like
Okay.
the enforcers of those things, you would never see them. Then
Yes.
so it's not even their thoughts; they were just told to do things. So also you need to put yourself in their shoes. Like if someone tells you like this is your job, you gotta do your job. Like and then here they don't really explain why you have to do something. You just have to do it because they told
Yeah.
you to. You
That's
gotta,
another thing about working in China. Like,
yeah.
if your boss tells you do something, you just have to do it.
Like for us foreigners, you ask you question like why.
Mm-hmm.
And if that thing doesn't go with what you are about, you won't do it. But like here, they
Mm-hmm.
just ask why. We will ask why. I was like, why do you have to do that? Why would I do that?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't because I have my own set of thinking.
Another thing is side hustles. So with side hustles, do you know how maybe we are allowed to or not allowed to work on side hustles? Like, let's just say with your passion project, right?
Mm,
That can be
mm,
seen as a side hustle.
mhm.
So, yeah, and policies, schools, and stuff like that. Does your school know? Do they frown upon it? And do you sort of have an understanding of how it works? Because I think a lot of people that maybe have a similar, I would say maybe artsy vibe to them, they could want to do like something like this, maybe related to painting or
Mm,
music or whatever
mm.
it might evolve into. So what can you say around that, like in terms of just being on the good side of the law? Because we know how it can be the side
Yeah.
with the law.
I guess here I would say the safest thing to do or to not do is maybe like get a side hustle that's like exactly as the same as your job. So now you're using.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you're a teacher, if you're an English teacher, I don't think you should be teaching English at another school while you're teaching at your school that that gave you a visa, work permit, etc., etc. I think that's illegal. But like, I
Mm-hmm.
think if even if your school finds out or the government finds out, and then you're doing something like a side hustle, like I like that painting, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sharp, you're earning an extra check that is not taxed, but you're kind of not disturbing any peace, and you're not really breaking any laws pertaining to your work permit and your actual work visa. It can be just seen as extramural activity. You understand? So
Okay.
that's why for me as well, like the thing that I do, it doesn't disturb my job. Number one, my job is my job. My Monday to Friday, I'm at
Mm-hmm.
my people sometimes like, how do you do? I'm like, I go to my job. I love my job. If I have to take some time off, yes, I will. Which I hardly don't have to most of the time. I just plan my holidays out really perfectly. I leave
Yeah.
when I'm supposed to. I come back when I'm supposed to. So I
It
always
doesn't
plan
inconvenience anyone, basically.
anybody and keep it very professional on both sides. So,
Okay.
so I think, if it doesn't inconvenience your actual job and you're doing your job perfectly at a high level that doesn't disturb it, I think it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think we'll move past it because what I was gonna ask is the policy thing, which I think a lot of people it's up in the air,
Mm.
regarding the actual policy as to what it stipulates. Move on to the language side. So how far are you when it comes to learning Mandarin? Have you ever took like Mandarin classes? Are you taking Mandarin classes?
Mm.
Would you say your Mandarin has improved since you got here, or it's like dwindling even? Because that happened. I learned a bit more
Mhm.
Mandarin when I was at home, and when I got here, I forgot everything, and I
Mm.
haven't even been using, what I got to learn. So,
Mm.
how's it been for you?
Now, for me, I just learn a lot of street language, slang,
Yeah,
or some words for my kids, because they
they
don't
will ask
like
you the same
they're not
questions.
fluent. Like English is like what maybe they second additional language. Sometimes we have to bridge the gap between like what does this mean. So I pick up words from them, or they pick up sentences for them. They will say da da da. But like okay, I don't. I hear what do you mean? What are you saying? And then okay in English, then I'll kind of
Like,
pick that sentence and I'll put it in my vocabulary. Or pick up that word, put it in my vocabulary. Ask
mm-hmm.
my colleagues about something. What is this? Da, 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 da. So that's how I learn. Ask people, store, ask people, ask my kids, especially store, ask my kids some words, some sentences, store them in my vocabulary, and then that's how I've learned over time, just by listening and learning and repeating. And yeah, that's it basically.
Okay.
So I think obviously from the time I got here till now, my Mandarin is way better. I understand more and I can speak more than I because I spoke zero, 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 zero.
Are there any instances where you've been like, okay, it would have been so great if only I knew a bit more Chinese than what you already knew? Like, I remember you had an incident with the Didi driver, and he just, like, continued speaking for forever. So, apart from, because that is just a ride and him trying to make conversation, and that's not
Yeah,
important, right? But
yeah,
then, has
yeah.
there ever been like, not a life threatening, but like a very important thing that needed to
Mm,
happen, and you're like, okay, I don't have my Mandarin in order for this thing to actually happen the way I wanted to, where you were
mm,
inconvenienced due to not having your Mandarin skills up to par, basically,
yeah.
if
I,
that
I
makes
guess it was
sense.
maybe like maybe the beginning parts, like cab rides, DD rides, especially. Like
Mm-hmm.
we were just like, yo, they could have went a whole lot better. They just went sad. Like you couldn't find you couldn't find where you are. You
Yeah,
couldn't
you
I
couldn't
couldn't
find.
explain,
Yeah,
explain where
that
I
happens to
was.
me a lot.
So I think that's just like that's one of the top ones. And then like other
Mm-hmm.
than that, like most spaces where I go to, there's someone who can speak some sort of English, or I can just put out my phone, the way we can translate. Then So, but I
Yeah.
haven't been in a situation where I'm like, yo, I think most of the times I've understood what they are trying to say, or what they're trying to make me do, or I'm trying to make them do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
Because
think it hasn't.
sometimes it's quite intuitive, because a person would think, okay, you don't know how to speak the language, how do you get around? It's quite you're an adult, you've lived like another set of life with similar things, just in
Yeah.
a different language. So you just
Mm,
have to see, like, okay, I'm in a cab now, they're asking for my number, so I just have to find a way to give them my number. I might not know what they're saying, but the only thing that they can potentially ask for right now is my number or
mm,
something like that. So it's
mm.
sometimes it's quite intuitive.
Yeah.
So as would you give someone trying to come to China to work and build a personal brand? So what can you say to someone who's like, okay, maybe I want to do something in China, working or building a, because some people do come here on work visas that are just related to, dancing and all of those things. So what can you say about that? What advice can you give to them?
I mean, I don't know. You must understand, like it's not easy, hey? It's
Yeah.
not easy. Like it's really not easy. There's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of like you put in a lot. I've put in a lot of my time, my effort, my money
Hmm.
to build this thing. It's taken time. It's still taking time. I'm not where I want
Yeah.
to be.
You're not
I'm
where
not
you
where.
want to be.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
I know that I still have to put in so much work. I still have
Hmm.
so much effort still, so much money still, because you gotta
Yeah.
invest in what you believe in, right? So
Yeah,
that's
definitely, definitely.
no one else was gonna come and invest money that you need. No one. So
Hmm.
they need to understand, like it's not just like not only talent will do, but hard
Okay.
work,
Hmm.
investment, and
Investing in
and
yourself, your
investing
craft,
in
and
yourself, your
your brand.
craft, your
Hmm.
brand, staying steadfast. It
Yeah.
won't be always easy. It won't
Hmm.
be always easy. Maybe it'll get easier at a later stage, but at the beginning, it'll be
Yeah.
very difficult. It'll be very difficult, and you have to. Sometimes you'll have to do things by yourself to get them
Yeah.
done. That's what people need to understand. Like it's not that easy, especially being operating in a foreign country. You're a
Yes.
foreigner. You're a foreigner here, and things won't be that easy for you.
Hmm.
So you have to pick up your shovel and dig and work three times as hard to be seen,
Hmm.
three times as hard to be recognized, three times as hard to be like,
Hmm.
okay, no, this guy is doing, or this girl is doing this thing. So you'll have to put in
Yeah.
hard yards because you're an outsider, basically.
Any closing remarks and maybe your social media handles?
Mm,
What can you leave us with, and basically, and also please share your social media handles. Where can people find you if they're interested in working with you? Whatever they would want to
mm,
do with you, right? Follow you as well. I think you have such a
mm.
great brand, and keep on pushing, flying the flag very high, because you get to travel a lot. Like, share with us, impart some knowledge. As you said, you like imparting knowledge. I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, you are. I don't know to impart, but yeah, I mean, I guess in closing is that just as Africans, as young Africans, I think our time is really now, and
Hmm.
we need to take reign and take control of our narrative, because that's what it is.
Hmm.
To tell, let's tell our
Tell our
stories.
stories,
Tell our stories
basically.
ourselves.
Yeah, at the core of it is
Let's
storytelling.
Yeah, let's reach out and teach our culture ourselves. Let's reach out, get our cultures to travel through us. You understand? So
exactly.
take
Not being
ownership.
taught by others who don't necessarily understand the
Exactly.
nuances behind how relevant it is to our culture.
Exactly. And then, they must also understand that, doing that sometimes you'll get naysayers, you'll get people who will try to block you, but you just have to push. You just have to be really outspoken and really, really dedicated to the cause, because the cause is not going to be always easy. It'll be difficult.
Yes.
People will stand in your way. People will try and debunk you. But you just gotta stick to it. If it's something that you really believe in, you'll really push it and you'll really be about it, So if you're about something, push it. Don't go half in. Go 200% in. The results will show, and the real people will know. The real
Yes,
people will know,
definitely.
and they'll see your heart. They'll see your intentions, your pure intentions and stuff like that. So, because I feel like nowadays, like, people just want like quick fame. Quick fame doesn't exist.
Yes.
It really doesn't exist.
It
Um,
doesn't.
yeah, like,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
I think what you're saying is very true because whenever you hear people's stories and like you see someone who has made it, if you look at like their track record, they've been doing this probably for 10 years, but they look
Mhm.
like an overnight sensation because you only found out about them then. But as you
Mhm.
said, you've been dancing since 2008. What year is it now? It's
Mm.
2024. And someone looks at you, having started to build like an international brand now, then it looks like, no, you just came onto the spot like yesterday.
Exactly.
Like, no, but I've been putting in the work since 2008.
Mm.
And like now it's speaking for itself. It seems easy, but it's from years of work, years of dedication, passion, pushing passion, type of things.
My social media handle is
Oh,
very
social
important.
media handles. Yes.
My Twitter is unlimited K, so the full word unlimited KAY
Mm-hmm.
and unlimited K. On Instagram it's underscore unlimited K underscore. So same unlimited underscore unlimited K underscore. And then on Facebook it's Kutlwano Molefe,
Mm-hmm.
KUTLWANO, and then Molefe, Molefe. And then
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok, it's the People's Dancer,
Mm-hmm.
and on YouTube, it's the People's Dancer as well.
Yeah,
So
okay. Oh,
catch me
I
out
didn't know
there.
you had a YouTube channel,
I
but
do.
yeah.
It's so difficult. YouTube is very like, kudos to you guys. I personally, I hate editing. I have so little time sometimes. I like social media, but I don't like it.
Yes,
I like
yes,
it, but I don't like it. So, but if you guys reach out any of those platforms, I'm always there and I'll always reply. I'll always reply.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much once again and enjoy the rest of your evening.